So welcome everybody to tonight's virtual special joint meeting of the Council on Post-Secondary Education and the Rhode Island Board of Education. I'll call this meeting to order tonight, January 6th. And we're going to start specifically with the Council on Post-Secondary's meeting agenda first. But before we do that, I'm going to turn it over to Chair Cottom for opening remarks.
Yes, and I want to welcome everyone to a virtual joint special meeting of the Rhode Island Board of Education and of the Council on Post-Secondary Education. On the 6th day of January 2021, I hereby call to order a virtual joint meeting of the Rhode Island Board of Education. I'd like to remind everyone that you need to keep your devices on mute during the meeting so we don't have feedback. And when you have a question, please raise your hand or wave, and Chairman Del Judison or I will call on you to speak. Now we'll do a roll call for the meeting of the Council on Post-Secondary Education. Chair Del Judis.
Present. I'm going to do the council roll call and then Barbara.
Yep.
So from the council, Barbara Cottom.
Present.
Mr. Duffy.
Present.
Ms. Green.
Present.
Senator Izzo.
Present.
Mr. Mello.
Present.
Ms. Monty.
Present.
Bishop Williams.
Here.
Great. We have a quorum and a full complement of council members.
Great. We'll do a roll call for the Board of Education. Angela.
Michael Alameda.
Present.
Amy Beretta.
Present.
Colin Callahan.
Here.
Margot Cook.
Present.
Barbara Cottom.
Present.
Karen Davis.
Present.
Timothy Del Judis.
Present.
Patricia DeCenzo.
Present.
Dennis Duffy.
Present.
Brandon Feliz. Joey Gaines.
Saying present on mute.
Rochelle Green. Mike Gray. Thomas Izzo. Marta Martinez.
Here.
Mike Mello.
Present.
Marianne Monty.
Present.
Stephen Pryor. Lawrence Pirtle. I did see Larry.
Okay,
are
we
you-
have,
I'm present. Present.
oh, great.
Mackenzie Raymond. Present. Jeffrey Williams.
Angela,
Great.
did you get me?
Great, we have a quorum then of the Board of Education. I wanted to, before we go further, welcome a couple of new members, two new elementary council members, Patty DeCenzo and Michael Almeida, and our post-secondary council new member, our new student, Mackenzie Raymond, a sophomore at Rhode Island College. Chair Del Judis for acceptance of the minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for recognizing student representative Mackenzie. Bad on me for not including you on my roll call. We'll get myself corrected as we move forward. So first order of business on the council agenda is acceptance of tonight's agenda. So the agenda as presented, I'll call a roll call of just the council. Chair Cottom.
Yeah, aye.
I vote aye. Mr. Duffy.
Aye.
Ms. Green.
Yes.
Senator Izzo.
Yes.
Mr. Mello.
Yes.
Ms. Monty.
Aye.
Bishop Williams. Bishop votes yes.
Yes.
Great. All approved. Back to you, Chair Cottom, for your agenda.
Great, we'll have acceptance. May I have a motion to accept the agenda of the Rhode Island Board of Education?
So moved. Second.
Second, roll call, Angela.
Michael Alameda,
Aye.
Amy Beretta,
Aye.
Colleen Callahan,
Aye.
Barbara Cottom,
Aye.
Karen Davis,
Aye.
Del Judas,
Aye.
Tricia DeCenzo,
Aye.
Dennis Duffy,
Aye.
Eva Gaines,
Aye.
Al Green, Rochelle,
He's saying I am mute.
Thomas Izzo,
Yes.
Marta Martinez,
Yes.
Mike Mello,
Aye.
Marianne Monty,
Aye.
Lawrence Fertile,
Aye.
Jeffrey Williams.
Aye.
Great, the motion passes. Now that that's complete, welcome everyone. We're having a joint meeting today for the purpose of following the statutory process for an appointment of the Commissioner of Post-Secondary Education, where the Council on Post-Secondary Education appoints the Commissioner and the full board provides their advice and consent of the appointment. So the Post-Secondary Council is the employer of the Commissioner. So as such, both the vote to appoint the Commissioner and entering into an employment agreement with them are the purview of the Council, not the full board. So as you'll note, the agendas for the joint meeting indicate that the first discussion item, that's 3A, and the action item 4A will be for the Post-Secondary Council to perform its responsibilities. As board chair, I feel it's extremely important that the full board benefit from hearing the Commissioner search finalist, hearing from him and the conversation, the council's discussion. So that's why I have felt it important to call a joint meeting. This is what I have done when hiring previous commissioners. So I state that for the public and for our new members. I'll now turn it back over to Chair Del Judas.
Thank you, Chair Cottom, and I'm glad the formalities are out of the way for a minute. So thank you all for being here, and sorry for the little bit of confusion here as we get started with this joint meeting. It's been a long time coming. I'm looking at our friend, Dr. Brenda Dan Messier on the screen, and how I long to see Dr. Dan Messier, wonderful. And I didn't have the privilege of working with Dr. Warner, but the legend looms large across the state and across the nation for his impact on higher education. So with those two fine folks in mind, when Brenda left the commissioner's office back in the spring of 19, we immediately started a search process. We appointed some council members, some faculty, some students, and we went out and scoured the earth to look for candidates that could possibly fill the void of commissioner of the Rhode Island Post-Secondary Council. We thought we came close a couple of times. We did lots of interviews, but we just didn't find the right candidate. So much to the chagrin of Ron Cavallaro, who was younger, healthier, and had a natural hip at the time. He stood in as acting commissioner for what was supposed to be a few weeks, maybe a few months, turned into a longer and longer period of time. We continued to do that search over that period. We never stopped looking. More recently, as we came into this July or June of 2020, we narrowed in on a few more candidates, and we came across our candidate finalists that we're here tonight so proudly to recommend to the council and to the full board, Dr. Shannon Gilkey. You're going to get to know Shannon as I have. Every council member has had, from the post-secondary side, has had an opportunity to talk with our candidate and other candidates, frankly, and we've all rallied around Shannon for his unique background, his vision, his leadership, and we're so excited for where he's going to bring us. The search included both President Sanchez and President Hughes, So we left no stone unturned as we went to patiently find not just a candidate, but the right candidate, and the right candidate for right now, especially with where we find ourselves as a state, and unbelievably tonight as a country, and where we are. And I touch my pin as I say that, as we all break away from CNN to have our important meeting, watching the transgressions of what's happening in DC tonight. So with that setup, I'd like to invite Dr. Warner, who joined us tonight, to speak on behalf of Shannon for a moment. I'd like to turn the floor over to Dr. Jack Warner.
Well, thank you, Tim. It's been my pleasure to work with you on this throughout the last several weeks or so. And it's good to be back in play with this group. I was there from 2002 to 2009. I miss you all. I miss the good work that all of you as volunteer board members do on behalf of this state and the students in our good system. But let me say a few words about the incoming chancellor who I've worked with. Shannon and I have worked together for several years on a number of important projects around the country. And as I've come to know him, I think what you're going to find is that he is going to demonstrate through his talk that he has an in-depth knowledge of higher education issues, the important ones around the country. He's worked with state leaders. He understands the role of SHIO, which he will become shortly. And he understands higher ed systems and the importance of those systems to the state and its residents. But more importantly, what you get is a really effective leader of the highest integrity. You get a true collaborator who will reach out to other stakeholders and engage them in this important work. You'll get a terrific strategic thinker, something I think he's demonstrated in the work he did on the Rhode Island report to help Rhode Island achieve its attainment goals. He led that project and led all the stakeholder engagement of it. And you'll also get someone who understands the importance of engaging and consulting with people as policies are developed, refined, and implemented. He's someone who will reach out and listen, even though he will come with many good ideas. He'll want others to help shape those ideas to the unique landscape of Rhode Island. So I'm very pleased that my friend and colleague, Shannon Gilkey, is in the position he is in tonight. So thank you all for your confidence in him as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Warner. And now I'd also like to invite our other guest tonight who needs no introduction, who I miss every day, Dr. Brenda Van Ness.
Chair Cottom, Chair Del Judas, members of the Board of Education, President Sanchez, President Hughes, Commissioner Alfonte Green. I am just thrilled to see all of you this evening and to say Happy New Year to all of you. I just am thrilled to be here to enthusiastically and unequivocally endorse as your next post-secondary commissioner, my friend and colleague of many years, Dr. Shannon Gilkey. As Jack mentioned, Dr. Gilkey is a man of integrity, intellect, and has a deep commitment to the council's priorities. He will work diligently to eliminate equity gaps in the higher education system. He will work diligently to align the workforce, education systems, and as you heard from Jack, we worked very closely with him on our attainment goal, and he'll be very diligent in making sure that that ambitious attainment goal is reached in 2025. Dr. Gilkey's background and experiences make him the ideal candidate. You know, Chair Del Judas, it was worth the wait to get Dr. Gilkey. So I am just really thrilled to say to Dr. Gilkey, to all of you, that I stand ready to support him as he transition as the next post-secondary commissioner for the state of Rhode Island. I look forward to welcoming both Gilkeys and Jack and Clara to Rhode Island and stand ready to do whatever I can to make sure that Dr. Gilkey is successful, not for himself, but for all the students who will be the beneficiaries of his leadership. Congratulations on an excellent choice, and I'm looking forward to working with him. In fact, we've already talked about the work, Bishop Williams, that I've been doing with the Department of Corrections to expand opportunities for inmates inside the ACI. So I know you're interested in that work as well, along with Mike Gray and others. So looking forward to working with Dr. Gilkey in his new capacity. And I thank all of you for this excellent, excellent choice, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Brenda. And thank you again for both you and Jack being here tonight. And now we're going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Gilkey. You might need a minute to catch your breath after those two endorsements. I know I would. So please, Shannon, take it from here.
Well, good evening, members of the board and guests. After you get that ringing endorsement, it's almost I don't know if I need to say anything. Maybe I should just leave it there. But I'm really excited to have a few minutes of your time this evening. And Brenda mentioned my Jack Gilkey and Clara, which is my 6-year-old and 3-year-old, and we have highly encouraged and incentivized their non-participation in tonight's meeting, but with a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, you just never know. So, we have the door shut and things locked, but that's who she's referencing, and I'm very fortunate to be a father. Well, good evening, and thank you again for your time tonight. I want to spend a few minutes describing a little bit of who I am, where I've been, and highlight some areas that I am excited to work on with you. So let's start with who I am, because I know it might be the first time that many of you have heard me speak. In short, I'm an educator, born and raised in the southwest part of Kentucky, and I'm very eager to serve as the next Commissioner of Higher Education. But I want to give you a little bit more detail about where I'm from in Kentucky. Southwest Kentucky is a portion of the state that's mostly rural, and its economy, when I lived there growing up, was mainly based on agriculture and the coal industry. My family earned a living that corresponds with farming and the boom and bust nature of mining, coal included. During the time when I was born until now, the coal industry has seen a steady decline in coal tonnage as technology has reduced the number of skilled laborers that are needed to extract and process that coal. And at the same time, new innovation and cleaner energy production has reduced the amount of coal needed in the US and around the globe. Most of my childhood and adult life has witnessed that home region and many other coal producing regions in Kentucky transition away from a booming energy industry to one without really a significant economic replacement to sustain local communities. As I've studied and worked and partnered with educators and economic and workforce professionals around the country, I've learned that Kentucky's story with coal is not dissimilar to that of many other states. Including Rhode Island's history with manufacturing, textiles, and jewelry. As simply put, economies and industries change, and unfortunately, society doesn't always keep up. As a family, we struggled within our community, less than others, sure, but many times more so. The one promise that really held steady at our dinner table, besides faith, was education. It was the ticket to a better way of life, if you could successfully navigate that education system. As a first generation student, along with my sisters, our family found both inspiration and experienced our bumps and bruises with education systems, both in K-12 and higher education, that really was the key to our future. We met educators, including faculty, staff, administrators across sectors that were deeply committed to their students, their communities, but at the same time, we were frustrated with policies and processes and systems that were difficult to understand, slow to respond, and in many cases, inflexible. As an adult student, working full-time and a parent, some of my frustrations in education were encountered again. The solutions to a lot of these frustrations are really easy to dissect in a graduate classroom, but they're oftentimes multifaceted, complex, and hard to change at scale. But no one should feel sorry for Shannon Gilkey. I'm not here to ask you to do that tonight. I'm really one of the lucky ones when when it comes to education attainment. I have the right combination of a strong-willed family, my ethnicity, gender, and a village of people across education, business, government, not-for-profit, and religious organizations that helped me along the way, that played small roles and large roles, yet pivotal ones that afforded me the opportunity to grow and thrive. Opportunities that really aren't consistently available to others. Some of these individuals, they knew me by name, they knew my family, they know my talents, they know my faults. Others never met me before, but may not never know me other than a student ID or a social security number. Some of the people that contributed the most to my opportunities don't even have that much detail. I chose to work in education because of educators that know me and that those that never met me before chose to work in education to help people like me. I also chose education because I believe it's one of our best chances in this country to help others. So the short answer from where I've been is, quite frankly, all over the place. It's also a frequent response I used to give to my mom growing up when she would ask me, Shannon, where's your brain? Why did you do this? And I said, well, Mom, it's all over the place. But it's true, I've been all over the US and internationally. I've studied and worked on issues in education, specifically higher education. And I've been fortunate enough to work with students and faculty and businesses as a K-12 teacher, career technical teacher, high school teacher, and as a higher education mid-level administrator at New York University. I've also served as a policy analyst for a higher education agency, much like the Rhode Island Office Post-Secondary Commissioner. I've also had the pleasure to help start a business, from a kitchen table concept to a thriving national consulting firm, a mission-driven organization that helps local school districts, post-secondary institutions, state agencies, philanthropic organizations achieve greater impact on issues surrounding equitable education attainment. Most recently, and right now, I serve the community college system in Kentucky, where I oversee all of our state's 2-year career and technical programs, its customized workforce training division, and its professional development innovation department. About 100,000 students, 16 colleges. I've also spent the last several months advising our Chief Higher Education Executive Officer, our commissioner, on higher ed strategies for aligning workforce and economic development initiatives for our state, which is really a chief priority in addition to the pandemic response as we look to restart our economy across this country. A significant portion of my adult life I've spent in the classroom. And I'd like to say that my experience as a student with higher education has been solely in the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake, as John Henry Newman once told us. But quite frankly, a lot of my focus on more education and training has been in the pursuit of access to greater insight on issues that I care about, and also to provide for my family. As you'll note in my materials, through this pursuit of more education and training, I've always had the good fortune to study at some of the world's premier institutions with renowned faculty and staff. When I look at that list, I always consider this notion. Some of those renowned institutions like Oxford or Columbia are easy to recognize by name because of the place that they hold in our society. But hundreds of institutions across this country on my resume and in Rhode Island hold renowned status of their own because they have how they conduct their work, the opportunities that they provide their students and the citizens in their states, and the pressures that they face today in a society that's more and more scrutinized on outcomes. And that's really why I'm here tonight, humbled to work for those institutions and certainly Rhode Islanders. So a little bit about what I want to do. It starts with really how I perceive where higher education is. And I believe higher education is in the middle of a crossroads as we continue to navigate the evolution of our value proposition to society. Our constituents are rightly pushing higher education to dramatically increase our impact on traditionally underserved populations, to align ourselves more closely with the rapidly changing needs of business and industry, with a constant unknown that we don't really know what the future of work is going to look like. And at the same time, be more affordable, more flexible, quicker to respond to a changing student population. We're also being charged to increase our effectiveness as an economic and workforce development engine for our states, and sustain and improve our ability to educate citizens that are better informed, more engaged, and more socially and emotionally intelligent humans, and more humans that behave humanly. And I can't think of a better time to say that out loud than tonight. Rhode Islanders and its educators across K-12 and higher ed have a lot to be proud of, with ongoing efforts in all of these areas that we can not only advocate for, and we should start by advocating more for, but also build and improve upon. In 2017, I partnered with a small team to dissect Rhode Island's current state of post-secondary attainment and some specific strategies to reach a very, very ambitious goal of 70% by 2025. In addition to discussing a variety of strategies to reach this attainment, our team met with dozens of individuals and groups across the state. One evening, we were staying at the Johnson & Wales student-operated hotel after our last focus group with a group of CTE teachers from Westerly. I remember being very, extremely overwhelmed by one reoccurring theme from this state, and that was a deep hunger for an aligned, collaborative, unified approach to education attainment. Now that seems simple enough, but honestly, it's not commonplace around the country. The will to be aligned, the will to be collaborative, the will to be unified. That theme left a remarkable imprint on my team, and it's part of the reason why I'm here today. I want Rhode Island to substantially increase and reach post-secondary attainment, full stop. And I believe we get there by first listening to our constituents in Rhode Island, those that are out there doing the hard work every day to put people through our education system. And that starts with our faculty, our students, our staff, our institutional leaders, as well as our nonprofit leaders, our businesses, policymakers, and our state and local governments. By listening to our constituents, we have the best chance to understand those policies and practices and systems that make Rhode Island education attainable and those that really impede it. I want our office and our higher ed system to zero in on transition points and challenge us to consider seamless transitions. And what I mean by seamless transitions are those for K-12 students that enter high school, those that for our military personnel to thrive as civilians after they've completed their service, seamless transitions for adults that are dislocated because of a pandemic economy or the next economic recession that we will receive in our lifetime. Those that are looking for a career change are those that may be dislocated like my dad when the coal industry, because of technology changes, takes their career away. And those citizens that are looking to re-enter society because after they've served a sentence within our prison system. Transition points, seamless transitions is what I want us to challenge to think about. And equally for all Rhode Islanders, seamless transitions from 2-year to 4-year institutions and the ability to generally maneuver across our institutions with their career path, not against it. Finally, I hope our office pursues a relentless focus on academic quality and student success, that we ensure that our students are receiving the kinds of skills and knowledge and experiences that allow them to compete in our economy and in turn, drive the Rhode Island economy to compete with the globe. That we push ourselves to improve quality over time and explore new creative ways to achieve it. And then finally, we better understand our changing student population, not only their academic, social, and economic challenges, which is a full day's work alone, but also consider the mental and emotional well-being of our students while they're at our institutions and as they transition into life after being in higher ed. What we do know is that higher education is intimately connected with society. Education in general is. It has the ability to sustain and improve our economic climate and produce a more productive, engaged citizenry. Rhode Island has the history, the leadership, the communities to leverage education for all of these ends. It has all the tools to continue to globally compete and improve the lives of its citizens through education attainment. And I'm proud to be part of that effort moving forward, and I look forward to serving everyone in this new role. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gilkey. I think all of you just heard why we're here tonight. Thank you. I'm going to open the floor to members of the council on post-secondary and President Hughes and Sanchez for any questions for our finalists or comments. I'll do my best to recognize folks as I see you.
Mr. Chairman,
President Sanchez, go ahead.
Just a couple of comments, Chairman Dal Judas, and thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Gilkey, a little bit of your background. As Tim mentioned, there's a whole variety of reasons why I am particularly energized to be working with Dr. Gilkey going forward here in the state. But just a few things that are top of mind. Clearly, Dr. Gilkey brings a real wonderful national higher education perspective to Rhode Island. And he hit the nail right on the head. We are very much at a crossroads. We need innovative and entrepreneurial ways of thinking about the future of how we deliver high quality, high value degrees to all Rhode Islanders. And he's going to bring in an outside perspective so that we can do that better. He clearly has a very deep understanding of how higher education contributes both to the economic and the workforce development of the state. And I'm a big believer that we need more public-private, public-governmental partnerships so that we can become more effective in delivering that high-quality education. He has a great background and understanding of those nuances. Also, and he spoke briefly to it, but he definitely, in the couple conversations I've had and what I've read up on, has a very strong understanding of the complexities and the challenges of improving that attainment rate, particularly as it relates to a growing diverse population of students, whether that's our communities of color, first generation students, which, Rhode Island College has 47% of our entering class this past fall were students first in their family, or those economically disadvantaged, which is a growing body here across the state. And so he's going to bring a very good perspective and background and understanding and strategies so that we, as our public higher education institutions, can grow and benefit from. Clearly, I'm convinced, again, in the little bit that I've gotten to know Shannon with, he's going to be, I think, a very effective advocate and a tremendous champion for public higher education in Rhode Island. So I'm very much looking forward to working with you, Dr. Gilkey, and seeing how we move things forward. Thank you.
Thank you, President Sanchez. Bishop Williams.
yes, my comments would be rather brief. I think somebody should fact check Dr. Gilkey's resume. That's a tremendous accomplishment for someone who doesn't have enough gray hair yet to speak of. But having had the opportunity to meet with him, as well as many other candidates, truly this is a good moment for Rhode Island, a very easy moment for us, and we ought to be very thankful that he and his family are ready and willing to step in and to really help us get to the next level. So I'm really pleased about this moment.
Thank you, Bishop. Chair Cottom.
Well, I want to say, I think this is an exciting moment for our state and for our post-secondary students. Personally, I'm excited about Dr. Gilkey's work, leveraging a state educational system to meet the demands of its workforce, which he talked about. This aligns clearly with our vision for our educational system, and his experience determining success factors for not only entering students, but those returning to complete their degree is extremely important. This focus is critical for our students and our state's economy, and I think you're going to be very helpful, President Sanchez referred to as well, to our colleges. So I support Dr. Gilkey's appointment.
Thank you, Chair Cottom. President Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Gilkey, I hope we make it through before your children come in. I know that feeling, and I'm sure we would all enjoy meeting them even in this way, and look forward to welcoming you to Rhode Island. I think I'll offer just a few comments. First, as Bishop Williams, I think, alluded to, I'm so struck by the ambition and the audacity of your aspirations. And I think I would elevate simply 3 themes that I grew to learn about you when we met earlier this fall. First, you very openly and powerfully put closing equity gaps at the center of how you approach the work. I think that's essential if we're going to move this state forward, and certainly essential if we ever have an intention of truly hitting a 70% attainment gap. Second, your focus on pathways, and whether that pathway is college readiness for our K through 12 learners arriving truly ready to be successful in a post-secondary institution, or whether it's the pathway for our Community College of Rhode Island graduates to successfully transition to Rhode Island College, the university, or other four-year institutions, recognizing, as you said in your comments, we need to build far more effective, streamlined, easy to navigate pathways to make that happen. And I think secondarily, your understanding, and I certainly share this belief, that a college degree, and I'm paraphrasing your cover letter, is not an end in itself. It must be for a purpose. So that belief that college students come to college really for 2 reasons: because they're curious, they want to learn. They also come because they actually hope to build a career when they cross our graduation stage. So having another person to stand shoulder to shoulder with so many of us as we truly align our post-secondary institutions to Rhode Island's workforce demands, we need more people bringing that intention to the work. And I very much look forward to partnering with you on that, and am very pleased that you will be joining this team. So welcome, and look forward to getting to work shortly.
Thank you, President Hughes. Ms. Green.
Oh, wait, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to do my video. But yes, hi Shannon. I got to know you a little bit as part of the committee that was doing the search for the commissioner. And I, like everyone else who has spoken so far, was struck by your experience and the breadth of your the types of institutions that you've worked with. I'm also completely enthusiastic about your agenda and what you are, what you have told us, and I believe that you're committed to doing here. One thing that I really liked was just the knowledge that you've gained from all these varieties of experience, all in the higher ed field, and from a national level, how you've become familiar with some of the funding sources that might be available outside of the state. As we've explained, and from your own research, because of our state financial budget, we have been funded at a less than national average as far as funding. So I've heard about it, but can maybe the other council members would like to hear a little bit more about how you might bring those experiences to bear to maybe bring in some outside funding sources that we really need.
Sure. Well, in a different moment, I might go a different direction with that response, but I am enthusiastically encouraged by the federal government's direction towards the first few years of post-secondary education. I think it could be a watershed moment for helping individuals not only provide that first 2 years of community college, but at all of our public institutions. And I think we could be in a really wonderful moment nationally for the support of higher ed to go in that direction. It's no secret higher education over the last 3 decades, if you look at the data, has been underfunded across the country. That's been a public divestment. It hasn't really kept up since the golden era of higher education funding that came out of the 70s and 80s. To help support our work in the commissioner's office. So I believe this country needs another watershed moment where we invest in our education system, K-12 and post-secondary. And I believe higher education should be a priority for that, and we'll advocate on behalf of our institutions for more public funding because we know that it's intimately connected. I said it in my opening remarks, to our economy. It not only that knowledge economy that we've expressed through setting very ambitious attainment goals is critical to the job growth. The Georgetown Center for Education and the Workforce said to us that after 2008, over 99% of jobs created required some form of post-secondary training, some high value post-secondary credential. So we have been in a moment where we're greater education attainment. We've all known it. Our parents told us the more education you get, the better off you'll do in life. Now we know because of the center's work, how that is interconnected to the economy. But equally, if not more important, we're in this moment where attainment for its own sake isn't good enough. It must be aligned. And I think President Hughes said this for my cover letter. It must be for a purpose. Our students are telling us this. If you look at any kind of consumer insight data, that they want to make sure that their degree, that value proposition's aligned. And then our employers and business and industry are telling us that it has to be attainment for a purpose, that they expect that knowledge economy to be ready day one when they expect. So from a public financing, when our economy is so tightly coupled to our higher education system, we need a watershed moment of an investment, a strategic investment into higher education.
Thank you. Mr. Duffy.
Yes, I concur with everything that's been said, and I'm a strong and enthusiastic supporter of Shannon. I was very impressed with his experience, including, which I didn't know prior to our meeting, his experience with the system here in Rhode Island. Very impressive commitment on both attainment and workforce development. And I also think he will be a very effective advocate and public face for the entire higher ed system. So I'm a strong supporter.
Thank you. Senator Rizzo.
Yeah, I want to join with my colleagues on the council and welcome you tonight, Shannon. And I've been very impressed since first having the opportunity to have a conversation with you in July. I think unlike most other members of the council, I have had the opportunity to sit on the Board of Higher Education in Rhode Island through the last 6 commissioners. So you'll be the 7th commissioner I'll have the opportunity to work with. And it's been an interesting experience over the years, over these almost 20 years, to see the differences. And it's great to see Jack Warner. He was the last commissioner when I was still on the board as a Senate representative. But in any event, I just want to say this about my interaction with you in July. Your credentials and your experience and your education, all of those things are they're obvious and they're certainly qualify you. The thing that came through to me the most, and tonight you spoke to it also, but in less direct terms by nature of the conversation we're having, is your real sensitivity and empathy for the needs of people in general. You came across that was really very strong in our conversation. And you see education as that vehicle that helps bring equity and can serve that population. And for that reason, just that human aspect is sold me. And so I welcome you to Rhode Island and pleased to be able to vote for you.
Thanks, Senator Rizzo. Mr. Mello.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dr. Gilkey, for being here this evening. We've met before. And to follow up a bit on what Mr. Duffy said, your experience in Rhode Island, I think, is valuable. You have a breadth of experience and you can bring lots of ideas that you've seen in other places and worked on. But I think you know Rhode Island because you've been here. It's a small place. It should be easy to manage, but it isn't. And coming in with the knowledge of that, I think is critical. And I think that's an impressive attribute that you bring. And I know that you've done a lot of work in Rhode Island, and I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about, you certainly laid out an aggressive agenda that was really well thought out. And but it takes time to be able to do those things that you've laid out. And I know that it's a long view and that's what we want. It's part of the planning, but I'm wondering if there's any low-hanging fruit, you think, some wins we could get so that we could get more people to buy into the programs and the things that you've talked about in the work you've done in the state and just what you've seen and what you've studied in some of the work you've talked about with both of our presidents. Maybe there's a couple of things or one thing in mind that you had that could be a quick win that would show that, you know, we've got some ideas and we're on the right track. Anything come to mind that you could share with us?
Sure, and a lot of this has to stem from the leadership that was previously as the previous commissioner here in her work. I think low-hanging fruit is to really scale up the work that's happening with the incarcerated population, that transition point, and that was the best way I could figure out to encapsulate different populations of people. I mean, we're in a people business. Education's a people business, so you have to go to where people are, figure out what they need to succeed, and then wrap your arms around them. And that is one, scaling that up. Two, I would say, is really looking at our K-12 to post-secondary, that transition gap, FAFSA completions, literally looking at college readiness and how many students slip through the cracks. You know, I don't mind saying it in public because I've said it in public before. I was valedictorian of my high school senior class, and I had to take 3 cycles of developmental education math as a freshman at Murray State University. It worked. I mean, I had to take 3 cycles of it. It worked. I also graduated distinction at Oxford University. It wasn't because I wasn't smart. I just wasn't prepared. But a lot of students don't have that right system of support. My support system was my dad telling me, you want to come back to the farm and work or go to the coal mines, or do you want to stay at Murray State and keep hanging in there? A lot of folks don't have that. And so college readiness matters. It matters when students, get in that developmental education cycle, they can't succeed, and then we lose them. So that's low-hanging fruit in my mind. It starts with that alignment between K-12 and higher ed. It starts with my relationship with the Commissioner of Education, the K-12 Commissioner of Education here in Rhode Island, and how we get our systems to work together so that we meet those K-12 population. I think that's low-hanging fruit. I think FAFSA completion rates, low-hanging fruit. I think GED completion coupled with a post-secondary credential, there's a thing called GED Plus where you get your GED at the same time you're getting a short-term certificate at one of our higher ed institutions. That's low-hanging fruit that we can do to put adults without a GED on a track to get a post-secondary credential that matters. So as Jack said, I think at the very beginning, I have tons of ideas. I'm really, excited. I think there's lots of low-hanging fruit to do. Excited to get those ideas shaped by all the critical minds on this call and the rest of them in Rhode Island.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mike. I think I've called on everybody that's looking to be recognized. And thank you all for your comments and your great
Nancy has a question.
I saw Mackenzie raise her hand.
Mackenzie has one.
Yeah,
Mackenzie, thank you.
I just wanted to offer a brief student perspective. I didn't get to meet you yet, Dr. Gilkey, but you seem really great. I'm really excited for what's ahead for everyone. But what really stuck out to me is what you said about the colleges that are deemed like a very high satisfaction in this country, like Harvard or Columbia. Like growing up in this society, like that's the goal. It's what everyone sees as the goal for that kind of post-secondary education. But I really liked your comment about investing back into these schools that may not be known across the country, but we know in our state. So it's really nice. It's really refreshing to hear that everything's going to be invested back so that these schools have their own great reputations and their own great attributions that make them stick out amongst other colleges.
Outstanding. Thank you, Mackenzie. Anybody else from the council? No. Okay. We're going to move from our discussion item to our action item, which is item number 4A on the council portion of the agenda. And again, this is for the council on post-secondary only at this point. I'll accept a motion to appoint the we have a motion that the Council on Post-Secondary Education appoint Dr. Shannon W. Gilkey as Commissioner of Post-Secondary Education and authorize the chair to negotiate and execute an employment agreement with the new commissioner as per the parameters previously discussed.
So
May I have
moved.
Second.
Williams, seconded by Ms. Monty. I will call a roll call on the motion. Chair Cottam.
Aye.
I vote yes. Mr. Duffy.
Yes.
Ms. Green.
Yes.
Senator Izzo.
An enthusiastic yes.
Mr. Mello.
Happily.
Ms. Monty.
Enthusiastic yes.
Bishop Williams.
Yes, sir.
Very good. The motion stands approved. Congratulations, Shannon Gilkey. Welcome aboard. At this point, I'm going to take a motion to adjourn the council meeting. Motion made by,
Mello.
seconded by
Second.
Williams. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We stand adjourned from the council meeting with a commissioner of post-secondary that we are thrilled to have. And Chair Cottam, I turn it back over to you for the Board of Education.
Thank you, Chair. Our only discussion item this evening is regarding the appointment of the Commissioner of Post-Secondary Education. We've all heard Dr. Gilkey's presentation and some of the discussion. We now open it up to questions and comments from the full Board of Education, any members. Yes.
Madam
Joey
Chair,
Zagain. Yes, Joey Zagain.
I was very happy to hear mention of your interest in K-12 education. Several years ago, we adopted the mantra of education in Rhode Island being pre-K to 16. And that was to encourage vertical communication between higher ed and secondary ed. I think it has worked. There's still a lot more to do. But I'm glad to hear that you are coming on board with that mindset, because very often we have to start over again when we have new people come on board. So I'm relieved to hear that you are in that frame of mind.
Thank you. I'll comment quickly on that. And if it didn't come through on my resume, I was a high school teacher in the classroom for 5 years. Did student teaching went to Murray State University Comprehensive School and a former teachers college, and spent the first 5 years of my career as a high school teacher, as a dual credit teacher in career and technical education, and just have a real passion for what happens in our K-12 classrooms around the country. We need them more than ever. As a father of a 6-year-old, we need them more than ever right now. And so just really thankful to be a part of that, and look forward to working with K-12. So thank you for that.
Welcome
Member
aboard.
Colleen Callahan.
Welcome, Dr. Gilkey. Quite frankly, that did come through on your resume. I'm a former K-12 teacher as well. And the day job is with the Rhode Island Federation of Teachers and Health Professionals. So, but as Barbara knows, one of my passions is the alignment between K-12 and higher education. So I was thrilled to hear you speak about that. And honestly, I think I was going to ask a question about it, but you eloquently answered it when you made your remarks. The other piece that came through for me was collaboration. And that is the other basic tenet that I hold in any of our dealings with education. And so I welcome that. And I hope you know that we look forward to collaborating with you. The fact that you said you want to work closely with the Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary is music to our ears. We're happy about that. But there is still work to be done in terms of that alignment that Joey Gaines talked about. And so I'm glad to know that that's important to you. And you should know that not only do we stand ready, but you also mentioned faculty and staff at the institutions of higher ed, and they are a great resource, as is our group of K-12 teachers, for us to work with and collaborate with around that. So welcome, and I hope that you will call on us to help you do that work.
Thank you. I will.
Barbara?
Anybody else?
Barbara?
Let's see. Yes, Larry Purdo.
Yeah, very quickly, Dr. Gilkey, as a former high school history teacher for 22 years, and my day job is with NEA Rhode Island, which represents a lot of our members in higher ed. But the thing that really that I like is your last comment, and the last comment is about the GED plus. My big thing is I think my colleagues on the board will tell you, is mental health and social emotional of our students. And when we have students who haven't been successful, that's a huge issue with them, and trying to navigate getting their GED or finishing high school and then getting into some type of other program is almost overwhelming. So anything we can do to make it easier for them to be successful. So I think that's perfect. You know, you can do K to 12 and higher ed at the same time and be successful in that. So hopefully that will be something you pursue right away as you come, and we look forward to working with you.
Absolutely. I'll respond quickly to that one because right now I oversee our GED Plus program for the state of Kentucky. And that is adult ed and getting a short term or on a post-secondary credential pathway at the same time. And I would agree with you for a couple of reasons that on the mental health point. One, because I'm married to a psychiatrist, geriatric psychiatrist, and we talk a lot about mental health and mental well-being in our household at our dinner table. But also I think it's important for all of our students, whether they're the ones that need a GED or they're a traditional student for higher education, to really think about its role as a checking in on the mental well-being of our students. It'll also help them, as research shows, transition into the economy much better.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move to a recommendation that the Rhode Island Board. Yes.
Mr. Gray.
Hi, can you hear me?
Somebody's speaking, but I'm not seeing whom.
It's Mike Gray. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mike, go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. I apologize for the microphone issues. Dr. Gilkey, thank you and welcome aboard. I sit on the board as a representative of the workforce system and our workforce board, as well as the Career and Tech Education Committee. So as we have been working for the last several years on trying to make the connections and trying to put people together in with the goal of cross-connecting everybody from the K-12 system to the higher ed system and everything in between to the CTE system, so that we can help us all accomplish those goals. So you have a number of things in your letter, as well as your resume and your experience that lead me to believe two things. Number one, you're a great choice for the role because of the experiences you bring and your perspective on them. And number two, my other thought is that you're going to make a lot of work for me, I think. So that's okay, because that's what we need to do. We have to really exploit our connections and make them work across the entire state for our citizens. So we look forward to using your expertise and your experience and bringing it to the state and to us as a group to help us unite around the things we need to accomplish to help our citizens, both in the K-12 system, in the higher ed system, and of course our adult learners to achieve those goals that will make us all successful. So we'll look forward to working with you and look forward to the first time we have an opportunity to meet.
Thank you.
Chair Cottam. Did we lose Barbara?
I think she fell off.
All right.
Oh, she's there. She's on mute.
I'm here. Sorry, my computer keeps freezing. I think I've called on anybody. I'm not seeing anybody else. So I'll take a recommendation that the Rhode Island Board of Education approves the appointment of Dr. Shannon Gilkey as Commissioner of Post-Secondary Education. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Great. Any discussion? Roll call, Angela.
Michael Almeida,
Aye.
Amy Beretta,
Aye.
Callahan,
Aye.
Barbara Cottam,
Aye.
Karen Davis,
Aye.
Del Judas,
Yes.
Patricia DeSenza,
Aye.
Duffy,
Yes.
Joeva Gaines,
Yes.
Rochelle Green,
Yes.
Thomas Izzo,
Yes.
Marta Martinez, Marta,
She said yes.
Mike Mello,
Yes.
Marianne Monty,
Yes.
Lawrence Bertle,
Yes.
Jeffrey Williams.
Great, the motion passes. Congratulations, Dr. Gilkey. Welcome. Can't wait to get started. I don't want to adjourn without thanking our acting commissioner, Ron Cavallaro, for his service as acting commissioner. He's not going away, only returning back for another time to one job. But Ron, we will be duly recognizing you at the next post-secondary council meeting, but we appreciate your effort, your advice, your guidance, all of the work. Thank you so very much on behalf of the entire board.
Thank you, Chair Cottam. It was my pleasure.
This concludes the evening's business. Thanks for joining. The next scheduled meeting of the board is Wednesday, February 3rd. Do I have a motion to adjourn this joint special meeting of the Rhode Island Board of Education?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Great. Any discussion? Roll call. Angela, last one.
Michael Almeida,
Aye.
Amy Beretta,
Aye.
Colleen Callahan,
Aye.
Barbara Cottam,
Aye.
Karen Davis,
Aye.
Del Judas,
Yes.
Patricia DeCenzo,
Aye.
Dennis Duffy,
Aye.
Joeva Gaines,
Aye.
Rochelle Green,
Aye.
Thomas Izzo,
Yes.
Marta Martinez, Mike Mello,
Aye.
Marianne Monty,
Aye.
Lawrence Bertle,
Aye.
Jeffrey Williams.
Aye.
Great. Motion passes. The meeting is adjourned. Stay safe, everyone.
Good night.
Congratulations, Shannon.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Bye.